the situation of rigging, forestall rigging, and making sure that the election was actually credible. And we hope it's very important that people should, this should be taken drastic, and the lawmakers should ensure that this is done quickly. But one again, the laws we are vying against, arrival of materials were late and collation also were delayed. If they can work on all of these, 2023 elections, perhaps they should try that in Ondo, and then we'll see that 2023 elections will just be one step close to perfect.
Thank you so much, Benjamin, for that intervention.
Thank you.
Okay, now let's look at the internal dynamics within the political parties ahead of that. These are what threw up the tensions, forcing both the National Peace Committee to descend on a governorship election for the first time. Some foreign countries making their positions known, and the interests of every other citizens going into it. What were the effects of these internal dynamics? One of our listeners, viewers from Twitter saying the way and manner the incumbent governor was forced out and the tension is generated led to the defeat of the APC. What do you think?
Yeah, the internal dynamics of those states has to do with the person who is the incumbent governor and who has won the election, and those who came to challenge him. Let's be honest, Nigerian governors have not been terribly wonderful in terms of performance. Sometimes maybe because of resources, sometimes because maybe they are overwhelmed by what they eventually get to see when they get into the government houses. But I personally must say that Obaseki was above average in terms of the Nigerian system, the performance level. I will rate him above average. And so whatever shortcomings he had in terms of what other political decisions he took that were not very democratic, stopping people, some of the lawmakers who couldn't get access to seat and so on and so forth. The issue was that, one, he had done something that he could say, I have done this, I am able to also go ahead and do more if I have opportunity. I think that played for him. And number two, we also have to accept the internal dynamics of Nigeria. Although not constitutional, Nigerians have come to accept to a certain level this issue of zoning. That if an election goes to a particular zone and nothing happens, whether the individual performs or not, he should finish his 2 terms before.
It's automatic.
Yes,
guaranteed.
Automatic, yes. I think it seemed to have also played in favor of Obaseki. The third one
because in Edo State,
yes,
Edo Central, they have the belief that
the next governor, the next,
and if you allow another person from the same constituency of a governor who can only do 4 years, that means they have to wait for another.
Yes, and that is why I say that seemed to have also played is an internal dynamic.
And PDP won in all the 5 local government in the Edo Central.
It may be it's a major. I think it was one of the major factors. They gave him the vote. Not too much difference, but you can see clearly they fought on that basis. Now the third one, which is what somebody mentioned there, is this issue of godfatherism. And I think we have to place godfatherism within a context. Godfatherism did not start with politics. You know, perhaps sometimes to some extent it started with the church and even the mafias. The church
could come with different mentorship.
Yes, mentorship and but yes, for the church, for the church, for instance, the Orthodox churches, the Methodists, Anglican, the Catholics, they normally have a godfather when an infant or somebody is going to be baptized. You stand as shorty for the person, so they look at it from that perspective.
Someone will provide
guidance, spiritual protection and guidance, mentorship. So that is how they look at Godfather. But when we brought it into Nigerian politics, instead of the mentorship, we now looked at it and it became a political corruption in which an influential individual or group of individuals will handpick another less influential person as a candidate, manipulate and teleguide, and sometimes bring all the resources for the person to get into leadership so that they will be able to do what? Influence or extort authority. And
as it concerns the
yes.
distribution of resources.
Now, to some extent, when it is going on, the candidate that is favored doesn't cry foul that is Godfatherism. For instance, when it happened in 2016, yes, when it happened in 2016, Oshomole went all over, blowing up Obaseki. Obaseki never complained it was Godfatherism. He didn't. But when they disagreed, they now brought it to Edo people and made it look as if Oshomole is the biggest evil. I'm not saying that Godfatherism is good in politics and we should allow it. But I'm saying that if we are not careful, politicians will blow it up and lure the electorate to vote for them, and they themselves, the next time, they will play the Godfather.
I'll come back to you.
Oshomole did the same thing.
We'll hear from him.
He used Godfatherism. At Aneni, he got his election and said Godfatherism has ended in Edo State.
Yes.
And what happened? He came out to be another Godfather.
Now, I want to come in. Thank you, Prof. I want to look at it in a different context. As at 2016, we were seeing Oshomole as a supporter of a credible candidate whom he has worked with, whom he believed can salvage Edo so that he will leave a legacy. We believe he was a sound, heavy supporter, not a godfather. And if you remember,
so there's a difference between what happened then.
Yeah,
it's support.
Yes,
not Godfather.
I'm building.
We'll see the difference.
Yes, yeah. And when Oshomole finished that election on 2016, journalists asked him, now that you have installed someone as a governor, are you not scared that he will go against you the way others have done? He smiled and he said, that can only happen if I forget to remember that I'm no more the governor. We have it on record. Now, by 2018, Oshomole started acting like as a godfather. It took them to 2019 election. The witty Obaseki knew that Oshomole wanted to collect a dough from him. That was where the House of Assembly, because he wanted to use the House of Assembly to impeach him. But where I'm worried, when the struggle started, Oshomole was chairman, was poking on the eyes of the governor. I expected either the president or the Asiwaju to call them and settle this matter. Everybody hung out and allowed it. And this, and
maybe attempts were made, but were they strong enough to resolve it?
If those people are strong enough to resolve it, we are in this country together. Now, having said that, was the APC people expecting that someone like Obaseki will fold out and look at them and then they will collect governance for him and then he will go home and be sleeping? He refused. And it was that feud. Now, Oshomole now came out now became a godfather outrightly. And the worst part, the candidate he told Edo people is evil. The candidate he used all the unpalatable language on came out and said that is the candidate and is telling Edo people, I'm apologizing. Are Edo people fools? And that is one of the major issues that came out, that played out. And Obaseki being a very witty and intelligent personality. If you observe throughout the campaign, he never joined dirty politics. He was never. And at the end of the day, Edo people have spoken because they have rejected godfatherism.
Okay, from our Twitter feed very quickly, Ebe says, a nice discussion, excellent, informed and objective discussions incorporating more technology and signing of the Electoral Act into law will help to sustain peaceful and credible election. Of course, giving out the charge, consolidate on gains made and work on the Electoral Act. So pressures for the National Assembly and the President. Kehinde, now few elections are a core element of representative democracy to be won or lost. It is a factor in why Nigerian politicians do practically anything, legitimate and otherwise, to win election. Every day is for the thief, but that for the people, Nigerians stand up. Ola Ali, the Z-Pad was instrumental in the success of the Edo election. Going forward, INEC needs to develop a scientific and systematic way of distributing materials on election day. Logistics remain a problem. Let's go back to Zoom. Haliru Dansoro is joining us now. Thank you so much, Haliru. Let's get your comments.
Yeah, thank you, Amechi Anakwe, my China colleague, and Professor Kazim and the other professor. Yeah, you see, what happened in Edo yesterday is very historic. But to me, it comes with mixed feelings. The process was very free, fair, transparent, credible, and widely acknowledged. But where I have mixed feelings, I hope it is going to be sustained. Because no matter how much you hate PDP in Edo State, you can't say the election was rigged. It wasn't rigged. But if that tempo, that trend is not sustained, it makes rubbish of the acclaimed transparency, neutrality of the electoral agents and the security agents.
Okay, good point.
I just hope
it will be sustained.
Sustainability. Thank you so much, Haliru Dansoro, for your comments. Yeah, we have harped on it here.
Yeah.
Sustainability, the role and functions of what institution and personality to ensure that this is not a one-off, not a fluke, a cheap victory. Now, the issue of Godfather and a supporter, a mentor. He said the support came from the former governor and former APC chairman in 2016. It was a support. At what point do you think it got to a Godfather? Because at some point, Obaseki said impositions were made on him, appointees into federal positions were done behind his back, and a lot of things were going on in his state without his. Is it at that point, or is there more to it?
Yeah, but that is the definition I have given. When you look at a candidate, at that point, my colleague says it's a support. But look, Obaseki in 2016 was not an influential candidate in Edo State.
But he was a key member of the
He was a key member of the government, but he was not an influential candidate in Edo State. And he acknowledges
he
that.
wasn't a politician.
No, yes, he acknowledges that. And so what Oshomole did to him, even though we were afraid to frame it as Godfather, it was a Godfather act. They only fell out with the distribution of resources when perhaps maybe, I'm not too sure, I'm not know the details, but he has told us that certain demands were made on him. And exactly that's what happened. A Godfather puts you there to influence you, extort and exert influence and authority on resources, appointments, and so on and so forth. And there comes a time when the person maybe gets fed up. And that is what I'm saying. He has played Godfather to these two people, even in this election. He didn't do it openly for Obaseki, but what he did in 2016 still stood as a Godfather for Obaseki, because Obaseki was playing his steps where he high-floatedly elevated Obaseki and made the other man that he brought today, a villain in 2016. And you now want to cleanse a villain to become your own godson. It became difficult. So he played a Godfather to two of them. What I'm saying is, look, Godfatherism exists. It is not for our best interest. But if the electorate are not careful, the politicians will always play it out as a campaign propaganda. And we could just, here, they do people, for me, and I'm happy it happened like that, because I have already said the man has performed above average. He deserved to come back. In terms of performance.
Okay, now,
so he shouldn't have been stopped, whatever reason, and so on and so forth. And so, to say that they don't fought a Godfather,
let's look at it this way. Few governors in Nigeria since 2007, when we started seeing exhaustion of tenure and new ones coming in, came into office without the support of the incumbent governor. Few of them, Oshomole is one of them. Out of against the run of play, Peter Obi in Anambra State, a new party and all that, but the bulk are picked by the incumbent governor. In Enugu State, the Ebano group went to the governor and said, name your successor, it is your right, and we will push it through. Is it the right of an incumbent governor to choose at least the candidate to represent his party?
Thank you very much. We have to understand, first of all, like Professor Monty has said, we must contextualize Godfatherism in proper context.
It's very
number
important.
one. Number two, we must contextualize our states. Each state, no two states that have equal politics. And then
It's never unique.
It's never unique. Now, on Godfatherism, I am not totally against Godfatherism, and you cannot kill Godfatherism. There is positive Godfatherism,
Negative.
and there's negative. I was with a high-ranking government official one time in this dining we were eating, and someone came into the parlor and he told us, let's go and greet him, or she is not your Megida too. It's not that he's having any influence in his governance, but he's having influence in elections, he's having advice, he's having contributions that he's going to make, he's having his own block of, those are godfathers. There are different categories of godfathers. There was a time we were at the airport sitting with two governors and a senator, three governors and a senator on top, and Bola Ahmed Tinubu came in with a former governor of Osun, BC Akande. They were down floor. All of them stood and said, let's go and greet him. Oga has come. These are positive issues about governance. I don't have a problem about that. But the godfather where you want to dictate to a governor when to appoint, who to give contract, what to do, and then you come out and you call in a lizard and you are going to remove him. Those are the godfathers that if you are in Lagos, you are in Sokoto, you are in Togo, we became Edo state indigenes to make sure that that negative godfatherism never happened. That is where we start.
Okay, from our Twitter feed again, Iwori Caleb says traditional rulers in Nigeria to take their notebooks and learn from above Benin how to warn politicians to indeed not to bring war to their state. Well, how many of such traditional rulers enjoy the reverence and respect the Benin does in Edo State? Engineer by Collins, Nigeria should stop the president from appointing the commission's boss, that's perhaps INEC. It should be grown from the system, or competent people should be made to apply. Secondly, it should be selected from the system, passed to National Assembly, then to the president, and not from the president to the National Assembly. A lot of people have said, including the governor in Edo State, this is a defeat against godfathers. People are projecting. Let's take advantage of the defeat of the godfather in Edo and take the battle to other places where you have entrenched and deeply rooted godfathers.
We have to just be very consistent, keep on defeating them, because they will still come. Oshomole defeated Aneni, and they don't thought they had finished with Godfather. He turned out to be a Godfather. They have to defeat him. So Edo must make up their mind that they have to continuously be defeating Godfather.
There should be no Godfather in 2024.
No, my colleague has said Godfathers in politics will exist. It is the negative aspect of the Godfather when it rises and raises its head and tries to subjugate the governor and subjugate the governance of the state. The people should rise against. But we need mentors in politics, and it's difficult for us to say you will do away with the mentor. Even in academics, there are younger colleagues who come to me and say, how do I write an abstract that will be internationally accepted? And there are many, you mentor them, they go through. They may call me godfathers in a way.
Let's quickly go back to Zoom. Gabriel, Emmanuel, within 1 minute, can you make your contribution?
Thank you very much. I want to appreciate everyone that is contributing, everyone, all the panelists. I want to say that what happened in the Edo is a welcome development, and we hope and pray that we'll continue seeing such, in our nation. I have been an advocate of change, and I believe that change will come. We'll start seeing new crop of electoral reforms, and our nation will be better for it. I also want to say that what happened in Edo is also a testament of what the US and UK, the visa ban and the asset stuff, it played a major role. And I want to say that going forward, we will need such if that is what our leaders will need to put their houses in order, if it can continue, I believe that our nation will be better.
Okay, thank you so much, Gabriel Emmanuel, for that quick intervention. And from our Twitter feed, Sunday GSS, Edo governorship election shows the sincerity of INEC. Please, and Edo people, what's key to the success or failure of the election? Edo people sincerely voted for who they want. Anthony, if elections are held this way, there will be a better Nigeria, be it in the opposition or the party in government. Or Ladipo, the victor of Edo election is to loyal and faithful and unambitious deputy governor. Of course, the role played by the deputy governor. Perhaps this is the first deputy governor that played a major role in the emergence of a governor in the history of governorship elections in Nigeria. Okay, Chukwumakwo, the people of Edo outrightly rejected godfatherism. Okay, it's talking about the situation in Lagos, and it says maybe Lagos has to prove what they did in Edo. I have to thank you so much, gentlemen, Professor Keto, Gabriel Motier of the Department of Public Administration, and Professor Kasim Musa Waziri, Faculty of Law, all from University of Abuja. Thank you so much for coming out. In future, we'll have to reconvene this panel to also take a look at further developments and inputs into how we can get the electoral process going. A lot of emphasis on what the president should do and what the National Assembly should do in terms of sustaining the good successes recorded in Edo State. My name is Amechi Anafue. Have a good time.